Now, real JRPG fans have a special place in their hearts for Tales of Vesperia. That same team is behind Scarlet Nexus. Here to tell us more about it are Kaita Izuka and Kenji Anabuki. Gentlemen, welcome. Let's jump right in. How would you explain Scarlet Nexus?
So Scarlet Nexus is an action RPG where it takes place in a world where the human brain has evolved to a certain extent where you have special powers. And so you play as characters that have these unique powers, and you go through the game and you explore and you fight evil and darkness.
Excellent. Okay, so what we're seeing here is a lot more chill than what we've seen in some of those trailers that have come out here. Can you tell me where this is and what you can do here?
So this place, we say like a hideout. It's like a hub for where all the characters in this game hang out.
Seems like a nice place to hang out. I love it. So while we're looking at this gameplay, talk to me about the gifting feature. How are players going to use that feature?
So gifts is something that you can sort of send to your allies, your NPC characters in this game, and this is going to increase what is called a bond. It's sort of a like a friendship, this bond with those characters, and by increasing this bond with those characters, it powers up the powers that you can actually borrow from those characters.
Nice. Okay, I like that. So let's talk about past trailers and gameplay videos that we've seen the male protagonist. But of course, we're playing as a female character. What is her name? What can we also play as her?
So at the start of this game, you can actually select between a male character and female character. The female character is named Kasane Randall, and she is also another new recruit to the OSF, the Other Suppression Force, and she's one of the members of the elite force. She like the main male character, has a similar telekinesis abilities, but it differs in sort of the characteristics from the male character, so that's something to look out for.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people got very excited when Kasane was showcased at the Tokyo Game Show release, so that was really awesome. But let's talk about the art direction and style here, because I'm looking at these streets. They've got this sort of modern but also somewhat retro feel. I'm curious what inspired this art direction and style.
So our art direction and the inspiration for this sort of setting and environment is sort of this near futuristic urban setting of 90s Japan. So it's going back to sort of 1990s atmosphere, and the intent was for the player to have a sort of nostalgic feel when they're playing this game, but also added some new sort of unseen elements to give sort of distinction from other game environments you see in other video games.
Definitely, it is definitely unique to be sure. We're seeing combat now on our screens here. Can you tell us how that combat works?
So there's two major elements to the battle system. One is this superpowers that you see for the telekinesis system, and this is more sort of the long-range attack, and it's also combined with melee attacks using weapons. So you can see through the gameplay that utilizes those two things kind of fluidly. And the second element of this game combat system is what's called the SAS system, in which you can borrow the powers, the telekinetic powers from your allies, and so you can adapt the powers that you use depending on the enemies that you're facing. So those are the two major elements of combat.
Well, and this combat looks incredible, and fluid is definitely the word. Let's talk about Kasane and her powers. Where do they come from, and what did they let her do? We're seeing some of it right now.
So Kasane uses her telekinetic abilities to really move objects in the environment around to attack her opponents. And other than her telekinetic powers, she uses throwing knives, kind of like kunai, you just kind of throw them from a distance. So those are the two sort of fundamental aspects of Kasani's playstyle.
Nice. The enemies in Scarlet Nexus are beautiful and terrifying. What can you tell us about the others?
So these enemies known as the others, they descend from the sky. And the threatening thing about them is that they go in and they eat the brains of human beings. And so in order to combat that, this OSF, this group of elite combatants, other suppression force, is there to sort of combat this threat to humanity.
And they are a very scary threat, I will say. Now, we see that Kasane has put on her hood and the music and visuals change. Things get more frenetic. Talk to me about what that is and how that impacts gameplay.
So this is what's called the drive mode, and this is achieved by filling up the gauge that you can see at the lower center of the game screen. And once this gauge is filled up, you can enter this thing called the drive mode, which the OSF members, these powerful humans, they increase concentration. They go in a state of mind where they're very concentrated and they're sort of in the zone, so to speak. And so that's why you put on the hood and sort of music starts running, and it sort of illustrates how they're mentally in this zone of increase in intense concentration. So that's the drive mode.
Excellent. That's how I feel when I put on a hoodie too. Obviously, Kasane is with some friends here. How does the party system work in Scarlet Nexus?
So both of the main characters in this game can have up to two party members accompany them in battle. And by having these characters accompany them in party, their SAS system receives special effects or buffs. So depending on the situation, you can swap them out for different effects or buffs to aid you in combat.
Well, let's talk about some of those party members. Are there any interesting, unique highlights that you want to share from the party member branch?
Yeah, so as you can see in the B-roll, you can use many different types of powers. You can inherit a variety of different powers from your party members. For example, there's a thing called hypervelocity, where time literally slows down around you and you move from this hyper speed to sort of devastate your opponents. There's another example where you can use invisibility to sort of go undetected from the enemies and use very heavy charged attacks to basically wipe out your enemies in one hit. And so there's a lot that you can choose from depending on different situations, so that's something to really look forward to.
Excellent. Well, I know that the brain map is something that's really important to the core of this game. What is it and what does it do?
So the brain map is essentially a skill tree where you can sort of develop and expand the brain functionalities and brain waves of these characters. So as you progress through this brain map, you can unlock different skills or enhance existing telekinetic skills to sort of improve your advantages in the battlefield.
Nice. Excellent. Okay, so one thing we did see Kasane do earlier was walk through police lines, and I'm curious about these virtual elements within the city. Why are they important, and what is it that you're excited for fans to witness with these?
Yeah, so what you just saw there, since if you sort of recap back to the world setting of this game, the humans have evolved their brains to a certain point that they can sort of pick up a lot of information that's not readily visible to the naked eye. So the police line you saw there is something that is this sort of virtual information that they can just pick up on the spot as they go. And so that's what's going on there. So yeah, players can look forward to these sort of unique aspects and how their enhanced, evolved brains interact with the game environment.
Well, they can look forward to a number of unique aspects for this game. We're unfortunately run out of time here, but I want to say thank you both for your time. I look forward to seeing more of Scarlet Nexus, and I know all of our fans do as well in the future. Thank you once again.